Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have on an incredible singer, songwriter, classically trained violinist, and an actress, Emmaline. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You know, after I heard one of your songs, I knew I had to have you on the show, but it's like this has been a big year for you, and I think it's going to be even bigger with everything you've got going on, just coming off tour, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to talk about this with songs from Sweetwater. Tough to pick my favorite song on this EP that you put out.
Good. That's a good problem to have.
I mean, how did you end up with that song selection? Because I know that 3 of these songs are actually in the movie that you star in as well, which is called Sweetwater.
Yes. So when we were working on the soundtrack for the film, we kind of recorded more songs than what we thought we were going to need, just so we had some extras and we had some safeties and they had some things to choose from. So when it was all said and done, I think I ended up having 4 songs on the soundtrack, including one that I collabed with Gary Clark Jr. on. And so when it was all said and done, we had a handful of extras. And we were like, well, these are just going to gather dust in my laptop hard drive. We should release them. So we released them as kind of a separate EP to tie into the film.
It's amazing because, you know, I was telling you I was listening to the EP, and I've already been telling my friends about it, to where your version of Blue Skies and also Sweet Georgia Brown on here. I mean, it's like all the songs are great, even the opening track, The Man I Love. And it's like going, but all the songs are great on here.
Thank you.
But I mean, it's so amazing to me, too, and you say this so humble, but on this soundtrack, you've got Gary Clark Jr., you've got Keb Mo, you've got Billy Gibbons. I mean, the list goes on, and you're on the soundtrack as well, and relatively young. You know, what does that feel like?
It was a really cool opportunity. It was something that I really wouldn't have ever dreamed up for myself because I just never thought of acting being something that I could combine with music.
Right.
And to have that experience of my very first acting role being a jazz singer, the character has so many similarities to myself and my own career. It was just perfect. And to be able to work on all this music that's supposed to sound like it came right out of 1950, it was really fun to try to create a world kind of that is no longer existing anymore.
But also fits your style of music and your voice perfectly. Now you got to tell our viewers, because this story is so great, how you ended up becoming an actress in this movie. Your first time ever in an acting role. Obviously, you know, years of being a musician and a singer. You know, you've toured with Chaka Khan, you've worked with Bootsy Collins. Now, an actress role. How did it happen?
Yeah, so the producer of the soundtrack knew of my music, and the director was speaking with him because they were hoping to find somebody to play this role that was an actual singer. The director himself is a musician, and supporting music is something that's really important to him, so he wanted to give this role to somebody who was an actual singer. So the producer of the soundtrack was like, I think I know somebody that could fit this role perfectly. And so I was asked to submit a self-tape, and I exist in the music world. I honestly didn't even know what a self-tape was. I hired an acting coach on Zoom and had like 2 crash course like sessions on what to do and how to do it and where to put the camera and what kind of background to have. And so I submitted this self-tape, and I didn't hear anything for a little while, and then they offered me the role, which was crazy. And later I found out, the director told me that Clint Eastwood's production company is a part of the creation of this movie. And so when they were going through the tapes and watching people's auditions, they pulled mine up, and it just so happened that Clint Eastwood himself was in the room, and he watched my full audition tape, and it ended and the room was kind of silent, and then he was like, "That's one sultry gal." And the director said he knew right then and there when Clint Eastwood said that I was a sultry gal. He was like, "That's the one."
You know, I think I would put that on everything.
Yeah.
You know, that should be like on your merch. Yeah. You know, anything, you know, like when people come and see you live, it's like, you know, and Clint Eastwood says, one sultry gal.
I'll take it. If Clint says it, it must be true.
I mean, how amazing, especially for your first acting role, because, you know, Sweetwater hit the theaters in April. Now it's streaming. It's available to be watched everywhere. But it's a unique story also.
Yeah.
You know, really to involve, you know, the basketball players and everything else like that. I mean, a great cast. So not only did you work with an incredible team, you know, with the soundtrack, but also in the movie itself.
Yeah.
Was that intimidating for your first acting role? Just go, Emmaline, here you go.
Absolutely. I think it's so interesting. It was kind of, there was two sides to it, because there was definitely a part of me that was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, and everybody else knows what they're doing. And then there was kind of the other side where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's cool. Like, nobody's expecting anything particular from me.
Right.
Everybody knows I'm a musician, so the pressure's off.
Yeah.
Like, there were definitely points where I felt totally free, because I was like, well, you know, this is my first time, and I am really putting myself out here by just going for something that you know, I've never done anything like this before, and I really went for it. And I got to the point where I was like, this is cool. The pressure's off. This is my first time.
You look like such a natural, though. I mean, in the movie and in the pictures that came from it and everything, it looks like you've been acting all your life.
Good. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, I mean, I've got to ask you this. Obviously, with your music career doing so well, you know, it's like, if other acting roles come up, are you going to take those also?
I think this is a question that's come up a lot recently, and I think the answer is yes. You know, it's so interesting, because doing the acting thing was, you know, such an absolute crazy and awesome experience.
Right.
But also, it did kind of remind me in doing this that, you know, I love music.
Right.
I love being a musician. I'm very passionate about it, and there's nothing that's ever going to, I don't think there is any other field that is going to be as fulfilling as music is to me.
Right.
So to find a way to kind of merge music and acting together and pursue roles that highlight myself as a musician
Right.
is something I would absolutely be very interested in.
It seems like much in the vein of, like, let's say, a Harry Connick Jr. Another
Good company.
jazz type artist like yourself, who has his acting career in film and TV, but obviously his passion and love, first and foremost, are always the music,
Yeah.
like yourself.
Exactly. If Harry Connick is doing both, I would say I'm in good company. So
Well, I think it's so great too, Emmaline, though, you know, once again, you know, being a violinist, classically trained, you know, since you were 4 years old, that still, even though your voice is so amazing, you still gravitate back to that also and still take that out on the road.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing violin since I was 4, and like you said, I was classically trained my whole life, and that was really the path I was headed towards, to be kind of a concert violinist, perform in orchestras. I went to school to study violin performance, so that was really, I was on a fast track to really head in that direction. And I kind of had the realization that maybe my heart wasn't really in it, and I was really more passionate about combining my violin and my voice together in a way that maybe isn't heard as conventionally.
Right.
And so I started writing my own songs, and I started studying jazz, and I became feeling very passionate about taking old songs and making them sound new, or writing new songs and kind of giving them a more nostalgic feel to them. And that is my mission statement.
How amazing, though, because, you know, your dad is a jazz pianist and your mother is a singer as well. But, you know, it seems to me now, which I love, is that young people are finding the Great American Songbook and jazz music again. I know even my teenage daughter has been turning me on to jazz singers and everything. I'm like going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I grew up listening to it because of my father.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and that you're actually putting this music out again, but reinterpreting it.
Yes. And I think the reinterpretation is something that I feel really passionate about, because I have this thing where my kind of philosophy when it comes to recreating old music is, if I'm not bringing something new to the table, then I don't want to play it, because
Right.
I want to be able to bring something new to the table and kind of maybe put a fresh perspective on something that people have heard hundreds of times, and then they're like, wow, I've never heard this song played like that, but it's really cool, That's something I'm like really passionate about.
Well, and I think that the band that you have also supports you so well in all of it. And I was going to bring up too, since you're Nashville based, that you recorded at Welcome to 1979 and actually did this on tape.
Yeah.
And I think that brings a lot of the warmth with the instrumentation, with everything that is supporting your great voice, doing it in a studio like that, don't you?
Right, yeah. And when I was working on my third EP, Retro Kind of Love, which I released in March,
Right.
I was really looking for a studio that was going to kind of add to that nostalgic feel that I was really hoping to insert into the music, because the songs on that record they're mostly originals, and the title track is called Retro Kind of Love. So the entire record is really new songs that have a nostalgic warmth, and I wanted to record it to tape because tape just has such a natural feel to it.
I totally agree.
And I wanted to kind of take the music one step further. And so it was a really interesting experience. That was my first time ever tracking to tape. And I'm a perfectionist, so when you're working with tape, you kind of have to pick your battles as far as, I don't like that note, like let me punch that in or whatever. You just can't. You just have to pick your battles. And you know what? It created something that felt so organic, and truly this record is probably one of the most authentic so far to myself and to my sound. And I think it was because I kind of had to take a step back from the perfectionism and go for a sound that felt natural and real,
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I think it shows, because if you think about it too, and I know that you're deep into it as well with the jazz musicians and blues musicians, to where that's the way they had to do it back in the day.
Right.
And sometimes you'll hear a wrong note or a doink on the guitar or a misbeat on the drums, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's human.
It gives it character.
It does. It gives it character, and it's part of the whole creation.
Yeah.
And I personally prefer that, other than, and I'm not knocking Pro Tools, but you and I know you can go in and fix every note and align every beat, and it's like, for the kind of music you're doing, I think that the tape makes a lot more sense.
It does. And it really forced me to kind of gain a different viewpoint on, the goal of music isn't for it to be perfect. The goal of music is for it to connect and have an authenticity that speaks to other people, and that, I think, recording that record to tape gave me that ability to take a step back and to view things differently. And I think now my entire recording process has changed for the better because of, having these, what maybe some people would view as limitations of tape, actually opens up a whole different spectrum of creativity, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Well, and you're so fortunate also, Emmaline, to where you've got a band that you've been with for so long, and so you guys tour a lot. You just came off the road, and I know, Retro Kind of Love is just doing great for you.
Yeah.
And getting a lot of radio play, really gaining more attention for you, just as much as, the songs from Sweetwater and being in the film and all that, but those are your originals.
Yeah.
And so now at a point in my mind, it's like going, okay, you're going to have to do a full album.
I know.
Soon.
I know.
And I know that, in between your touring, there's been rumors of a Christmas album that your fans have been clamoring for.
Yeah. There's a little something in the works. A little holiday cheer might be on the way.
That would be a great tour.
Yeah.
Especially maybe even playing the Ryman.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be fun?
I'm just saying, because I know you're playing Las Vegas. You're going to be back out touring the country again. I mean, are you going to be, besides your originals, are you going to be integrating, songs from the Great American Songbook in there also to showcase different ones?
Yeah, with this, I've been on the road, like you said, since the end of March.
Right.
And I've mostly been touring on Retro Kind of Love. So now in June, I'm going back on the road and I'm doing kind of like more West Coast stuff. I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to LA, San Francisco, and we're kind of scaling back and this is going to be our first acoustic tour.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be lots of Great American Songbook, lots of like really classic covers and original material. Everything super stripped down, really raw.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it because I've never done anything like this before to this level of just intimate performances, acoustic, stripping everything down.
Right.
So, and that's what I thrive off of. Just the more we can take away, sometimes the more the music gains.
I agree. So yeah, it goes back to the old theory to where sometimes the best music is the absence of music.
Yeah.
If you give those, the rest and everything, and to where, your voice is able to float over the top more.
Yes.
And just have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like it's going to be a rush.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And there's going to be new merch, right?
Yeah.
With the Clint Eastwood slogan.
I'm going to work on that. We'll see if we can get that done before we leave.
And in between, I've got a feeling that you're going to be pulled in for more acting roles also.
Things are already kind of coming in.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what to expect when the movie came out, but already there's definitely been some conversations happening. So I'm excited. That's a completely new avenue that I'm looking forward to exploring and seeing where it might take me.
Well, and also, with your social media, Emmaline, you have a great fan base, a large fan base, and they kind of like the little videos and everything and behind the scenes that you provide them.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to keep all that up while everything's going on?
Yeah. I mean, social media and connecting with the people that make my career possible is kind of what my entire career was founded on. I'm an independent artist, so having fans and people that are listening to your music is invaluable. And I didn't even really know what I'm doing now was in the realm of possibility for me, but I was, when I was younger, I think I started doing this about 5 years ago, I would just post these acoustic covers or old jazz standards or original songs that I hadn't released yet, and I would just post them on social media hoping that maybe somebody would hear it and like it and somebody would connect with it. And it didn't take long before, I think I was consistently posting, little music videos for probably 3 months or something, and I had already had over 10,000 followers on all my socials, and now that's grown to like 500,000 across platforms, and
which is a lot.
And that's how it all started, was just making music for people that want to hear the music. And that's that's what I'm even doing this for, and that's why this is even possible for me,
But also to be able to do what you love.
Yeah.
To bring this music out. And certainly, you were classically trained and I was classically trained too, but it's like, you got to play what you love.
Right.
How do your mom and dad feel about your career, taking off as it is now, with you playing all these shows and with your brother out on the road with you? I mean, what do they think about it?
My parents I think they're very proud of me. I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into making sure that my siblings and I, had music training and we had access to instruments, and that was something they were always very encouraging about. And it's, I think my career has taken a different shape than maybe what they or even I thought it would, especially since I've existed in the classical world for most of my life. And, this aspect of my career is something I took a big leap of faith, because I was very integrated in the classical world, and to be like, I think I want to do something completely different, that would send anybody, into like, are you sure you want to do that? Really?
But isn't that when the best things happen?
Of course.
When you sort of go toward, when it's scary, just like even with your acting,
Right.
and you go into it.
Yeah.
good always comes of it. You know, when you kick back and go, I'm going to stay conservative. I'm not really going to go anything out of my comfort zone.
Yep.
I'm going to follow the original path. I don't think as much good comes of it.
No. And I'll tell you what, that is something that has always been very integrated into my personality, is just going for things.
Right.
That is it's a fundamental part of my being. I've always been this way since I was a kid. I was just like, if I had an idea, I want to do this, I would just go do it. I wouldn't sit and think like, oh, that would be nice, or I don't know how to do it. I would just figure it out. I would go do it. And so that personality trait has definitely, I think, served me well. And, you know, just do things. Even if you don't know what you're doing, say yes anyway. You'll figure it out, you know?
I think it's working.
I think it might be.
Just from this side of the room, I think it's pretty incredible. Well, I want to make sure for our viewers, you know, with your ongoing tours, with you know, the music, obviously, you know, Retro Kind of Love EP that came out in March, songs from Sweetwater, which is out now as well. The movie is out with Sweetwater, so they can watch you on that and more upcoming TV and movies, I'm sure. Where do they need to go for everything Emmaline so they can keep up with you and get the music?
Yeah, well, the best way is to follow me on social media. It's just Emmaline Official, all one word. You can find me anywhere that music is streamed or downloaded if you just type Emmaline.
I'll tell you what, and Clint Eastwood calls her one sultry gal. And an amazing voice. Be sure and add Emmaline's music to your song list, you know, however you listen, playlist. I think you need to be doing some vinyl. You're already on tape. You might as well go ahead and take the vinyl.
Oh, I have vinyl.
Oh, see, look at this.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, just an incredible voice. And it's so nice to hear a new takes on older jazz songs, but also your original songs are just incredible as well.
Thank you.
So be sure, catch her live on tour and follow everything she does on social media. There's going to be more great things coming out with Emmaline. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you so much.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.